So I've been going round and round on some minor changes to the Voyager. One of them is this little guy right here. I kind of like having a 12-volt accessory just in case you need anything plugged in, air pump or anything like that that takes a 12-volt. However, I won't be using this that often. So what I'd like to do is put something in here in its place, which is this little guy right here. In the middle, it's actually going to give me a digital readout of the constant voltage, and I have two quick charge USB ports on there. And the neat thing about this cover, when it's on, it's got this little window and you can always see the voltage through it. So that's kind of nice. Don't mind that at all. And I haven't taken that apart yet, but this looks like it'll come apart pretty easy and take the place, and hopefully it'll be the exact same size. Otherwise I'll have to come up with some sort of spacer. Now I do like having that other receptacle though, as far as in case I need to plug something in that requires 12 volts. So what I did, I went ahead and got this. I'm going to be carrying this in the bike along with the toolkit. So this is my 12-volt receptacle here on a decent sized cord, along with this end here that plugs into the battery tender I have hanging on the bike. And that way I'll always have a 12-volt receptacle handy, but something I'll be using just once in a great while hopefully. But the USB I know I'll use all the time. And where do I have my battery tender? I've got it out of use. I hate when you can actually see it hanging out of the side. That's just me, guys. You can put it wherever you want to. On my bike, where I have this actually hanging out is on the right side of the bike. And if you come down here, hanging in that little cavity right there, is the plug. So I can take that out anytime to go ahead and charge the battery. It's out of the way. It's got a cover on it. Yet on the other hand, that's where I can go ahead and plug in. Some people have them up here, like I said, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted it really way out of the way, so I ended up just fishing it down here, and it's been there since I installed it when I first got the bike. So I think to do this, I'll go ahead and open this up, remove this. That should give me all the access I need straight down for this plug here, so I can make the switch. This one here, I'll end up just unplugging and probably putting it in storage, because I'll have the new USB on there. And like I said, I've got the actual 12-volt accessory plug now, like I showed you over there on the workbench. So this is stuff I had in there. I used to have this little guy here I can take out now, and it's basically an adapter that you can go ahead and plug in to that 12-volt accessory outlet and give yourself a couple of USB ports. And I think I may go ahead and keep this in the bike because this receptacle here is only active, or I should say live, when the switch is either an accessory or it's actually on. If you go ahead and shut the bike off, there's no voltage here. Well, what if I want to run something without turning my bike on? That's where this down here to plug into, which goes directly to the battery, so it's always hot. Plugged into this thing here will make it live all the time without using a key on the motorcycle. And then of course I can take this and pop that in, just in case for some reason, if I ever need a live USB port without turning the bike on, this can go directly to the battery. So these things actually work out pretty well. So that's what I'm going to do. This stuff's going to stay on the bike in the toolkit. I'm going to go ahead and replace the receptacle that's on there with this one here. And I should have, as far as electrically going, the bike set up the way I want. So in a prior video, this is that weather stripping I put on here to try to mitigate the problem of water entering this. You know, if you're washing it, the rain doesn't really do a whole lot, but if you're washing it under the pressure of a hose, some of the water does get in here. So I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully this little channel here I put on a previous video will go ahead and do the trick. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the bike. Alright, so that's what we have there. We have a couple connectors that slide into a couple females, and you know, I could go ahead and cut this. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I might just take a couple wires that I make up, put the connectors on there along with some heat shrink, and that way when I take this out of here, it'll all be one piece. Then I'll go ahead and check out these wires here and find out which one is ground and which one is hot. And like I said, keep this in one piece for, I don't know, if I ever need it down the line or something like that, but without mangling the wires. I finally got that out. However, it's not exactly what I wanted. The plastic basically just disintegrated as if it was just kind of old. Anyway, it's extremely brittle. So this answers the question. So what I'm going to do is basically just go ahead and cut these wires as close to this receptacle as I can, and just basically toss this and I'll put the new spade connectors on there, which I guess would just make things easier for me. But that's what I ran into trying to get that off. The gold, in fact you can see it in there, is positive and the silver's negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, of course I always buy this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and use this size here, which fits nice and snug, and that should be good for the gauge of wire that's in there. Crimp these on, go ahead and double check to make sure I know which one is positive, which one's negative, so I can hook this up correctly the first time. Get this installed and snugged up. It's kind of tight in the hole now, but what I kind of like about it is it doesn't just slide in because of these teeth. The old one was smooth, so it just slid right in there, and it had like a little key that basically right here that held it in the right position up and down so it didn't move. This one here, I'll basically have to try to hold on to this while I tighten up the nut behind it. Anyway, so it does have a little bit of a grommet on there, which is part of the cover. That's what we'll go ahead and use. So let's get this crimped on. I'll go ahead and find out what wire is what, and I can tell you guys which wire is positive, which one is negative on the bike, and then hopefully I can just pop this thing together. Okay, so this switch is off, meaning these wires here are dead, and that way if they touch each other, it's not going to blow a fuse or God forbid something worse. So to let you guys know, the brown wire on the right is positive and the one on the left is negative. So this should be pretty easy to hook up. And of course you can see on here, I never do anything without using a little bit of a dielectric grease. I'm actually threading this on, so it'll be kind of a two-part lock by the time I get it in. 3 threads will hold it in tight, and then I can go ahead and put on the lock nut on the back side, and that way this thing will be nice and tight, it won't vibrate loose. Hard to get a grip on, so I'm using kind of like a piece of rubber. Here you can even use one of those rubber pads that you use to open jars and stuff in the house. But it's a little tedious and stuff. I'm just going to take my time with this. Okay, so basically that threaded in. I still need to put the lock nut on the other side and hook the wires up. And that looks like when it's all closed up. A nice little rubbery cap on there. The window here will show the voltage. And that looks nice and straight. Okay, so like I said, I basically reused the harness that was in there since the other one just kind of disintegrated. Down inside there's the connection there, again brown going to the brass color, which is the positive, and the other one going to the other side, which is negative. And the neat thing is on this cover, again in the middle it's going to read the voltage, but the way it's set up is this little button here tells you exactly what your battery volts are. And when you close this, you don't have to open it up, just press on it. You can do a quick check. I mean, it's the neatest thing, and again they're 2 quick charge. So let me go ahead and get this cleaned up, put it back together, and I'll show you guys the finished product. And like I said, at least now I still have the 12-volt accessory, but it's on a pigtail that plugs into the battery tender pigtail down there. So that's the look back here. I would say that pretty much looks factory to me. And again, it's got the cover, the little window, and once the key is on, I can always check the voltage real quick if I needed to know if the battery was starting to go or if it wasn't charging in the future. So that's it, guys. I think I'm going to find one more place here for that kind of extension cord 12-volt accessory, and I think I have just the perfect place for it since it's something I won't be using all the time. So a long time ago, I got stuck out on the road one time, and of course the police at the time were no help when I flagged one down. He just wanted to give me a ticket for my headlight burning out, and I was like, well sir, I'm trying to get back to my house where I had the bulb, and I don't know, it was just a real mess. This was in a state other than Florida. They're probably even worse down here. But so ever since then, I'm paranoid, and I always carry a spare bulb and stuff. So where the toolkit was underneath the seat, I've got a regular toolkit inside one of the bags, and I took that out, emptied those tools into the tools I have. So I like to keep a spare bulb down in here. And then of course that frees me up some room, and I'm going to take this bag here, which has got the USB adapter and a 12-volt accessory extension cord thing, and I'm going to put that down inside this also and keep all this underneath the seat. So there we have it. We got the bulb, we got that. I'll go ahead and get the seat back on, and that's where that will live from now on in case I need it. And yes, it is true, I went ahead and added these plugs on top here to protect them, and anything I could pull apart I did, and packed it with dielectric grease just in case in the future I want to use something I never have to worry about corrosion. So let's get the seat back on. So I like to use that little cubby hole that the toolkit came in for things I'll use once in a great while, and that's where those will basically live. Free up a little space inside the bags. And again, I pretty much am ready for anything. If I run into a buddy that needs power for some reason and I can help, at least I have all the receptacles now that I need to be able to go and be the good Samaritan with. So you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future content. Really appreciate you watching, and I'll go ahead and get this on YouTube just as quickly as I can. Oh, enjoy your Voyagers.